Pirkei Avot, second parak, second Mishnah. This is actually the third part of this Mishnah that we'll be learning, and this will actually complete it. So I just want to go back and reiterate because the contrast is important. So Rabban Gamliel v'noshel Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi Omer Yafet Talmud Torah Derech Eretz Sheyekesh Nehem Meshakachet Avon. Right, beautiful is learning Torah with working, because the toil of both of them will cause sin to be forgotten. V'chol Torah shein imam malacha sofa betela v'goreret avon. And any Torah that is not accompanied with some kind of profession, with work, will eventually just be nullified and it will drag in sin. And anyone who toils on behalf of the public, of the tzibur, they should toil for the right reasons. L'shem shamayim, for the sake of heaven. Sheschut avotam mesayatam, because the merit of the forefathers propels them forward. The tzidkatan umeret la'ad, and their righteousness, the righteousness of the Avot, lasts forever, stands forever. Vatem, and you, ma'ale ani alechem sachar harbe kilo asitem. I will grant you the much schar as if you yourself had done this. So what's the lesson here in this? I want to focus on this whole v'chol ha'melin im hatzibur, this whole working on behalf of the public. So first we'll focus on Rashi and Rambam, and then we'll move on to Maharal. So Rashi says, in this last statement, Mala ani alechem sachar harbe kilo asitem, it's important to realize that when people work on behalf of the tzibur, any success they enjoy is not because of them. They are not the ones who caused any of the success. It's the Avot, right? The Zchut Avot, the fact that our forefathers, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, they're the ones who propel any success that we have, and it's important to realize that. But what this Mishnah is telling us, Lefi Rashi, that Mala ani alechem sachar harbe kilo asitem, as if you're the ones who did it. As in, the people who actually did it, that's the Avot. But the credit goes to the people who are actually serving the tzibur. So that's an important note to realize. And also Rashi says that even if you don't accomplish the action, as in Vatem male ani alechem sachar harbe ki'ilu asitem, as if you had done it. As in, if you are working on behalf of the public, things don't always pan out, right? What happens if you don't succeed? Right? Then what? Then, okay, if you succeed, the Avot caused it, you get the credit. And if you don't succeed, then you still get the credit. Ki'ilu asitem. You're working l'shem shamayim. You're trying to help people for the right reasons. When I say people, I mean the public, people with a P, capital P. Then in such a case, you still get the credit. No worries. Rambam has a very different understanding of what this last statement means. Very interesting. He says, "Vatem ma'ale ani alechem sachar harbe kilo asitem." What does that mean? When a person works on behalf of the public, what happens? It's extremely time-consuming. So as a result, many of those mitzvahs that he normally would be doing, he will no longer be able to do, because he's busy working on behalf of the public. Says Rambam, when it says Mala ani alechem sachar harbe kilo asitem, it's as if you had done all those other mitzvahs. Right now, you're not able to do like the mitzvah A, B, C, and D that you normally would, because you're doing only mitzvah E, i.e., working on behalf of the tzibur. Says Rambam, don't worry about it. Do that mitzvah E, you work on behalf of the tzibur, and you'll get compensated for everything else that you normally would have done. Okay, the Maharal says something outstanding. He does not need my haskama, but I can't help but share my enthusiasm for it. So he says like this. First, this Mishnah, first he asks, what's the connection between the beginning of this Mishnah and the end? As in, we're talking about Torah and working, the importance of learning. What's the connection? Moreover, it says, right? If you're not working while you're learning, then it's just going to be nullified. And then the Mishnah goes into this whole idea of, you should work for the public. These are two seemingly extremely unrelated ideas. We saw in the first parak that actually Hillel taught 3 of the Mishnahs, and appropriately, the parak split them up into 3. Hillel teaches 3 separate Mishnahs, because these are, again, seemingly 3 separate ideas. So the Maharal asks, why is this Mishnah not split up? Fine, Rabban Gamliel b'noshel Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi Omer, he has a lot to say. That's totally fine. You can split them up. Why don't we split them up? What is the connection? Says the Maharal. First, let's understand this idea of Torah. What is Torah? And by Torah, we mean relative to a mitzvah. Right? The way the Maharal explains this is Torah is sichli, right? It's intellectual. It's based on the intellect. And the intellect is general in nature. As in, when a person is learning Torah, Torah is something general. That's as opposed to a mitzvah. There's a pasuk that says, "Ki ner mitzvah v'Torah or." Right? Ner mitzvah, a lamp is a mitzvah. The Torah, that's light. Now the thing with a lamp, with a mitzvah, is that it's very specific. It's prati, right? It's not general in nature. It's very specific. It's one thing. When a person puts on tefillin, that's what they're doing. Tefillin and paying a worker on time. Both mitzvahs, but I at least don't see the connection. Doesn't mean that there may be, but seemingly these are two completely separate things. As opposed to learning. Even if you're learning about tefillin, let's say you're learning about tefillin. Okay, so that's how more specific can you get? And so, well, that's not so simple because we know, for example, some of the halachas of tefillin where they say that actually you're supposed to put on your arm tefillin first and then your head tefillin, and when you remove them, you remove the head tefillin and then you remove the arm tefillin. That is to say, we don't put the head tefillin on its own. It must be accompanied with the arm tefillin. Just quick footnote: if you only have head tefillin, then you should definitely put them on. But if you have both, then you should not have the head tefillin alone without the arm tefillin. So what's the idea? There are many ideas. One of them is this idea of naaseh v'nishma. We do, and then we hear. This is a Jew lives in the world of command. We must perform actions. Those are specific mitzvahs. Those are specific things that we do. It's not just enough to think things like, oh wow, chesed. That's so nice. Okay, good. We like that you think chesed is nice, and we even like that you understand the depth of chesed. But now we want you to do chesed. And that's why the arm tefillin go first. The arm tefillin, in terms of we're bound to the world of action. Then we can crown ourselves with the head tefillin in terms of understanding it. But first comes the action. And moreover, with regards to the arm tefillin, we actually cover it, right? It's hidden because we don't want to start publicizing all the things we do. Not everyone needs to know everything that you do in terms of certainly the bad things, but kal v'chomer the good things. In terms of we're doing things the right thing to do the right thing, not so that everyone else will know that we're doing the right thing. So that's why we cover the arm tefillin. And moreover, the arm tefillin is directed at the heart. And that one of the things that it's meant to teach us is the fact that when we do that, we're showing that often the way people think is, okay, if I understand something, if I feel it, then I'll do it. That's not the Jewish way. The Jewish way is do it, and then you'll start feeling it. A person could really understand chesed on an intellectual level. Wow, it's like so nice to greet people, to smile at them. But then once you actually do it, and you start seeing how people react to you, and you see like, wow, I just started saying hi with a smile, and people are suddenly they step that much lighter. They're so much more cheerful. There's a more friendly atmosphere. Then you start to realize, like, wow, I never really appreciated this. Just the fact that I did it now gives me that emotional awareness of how impactful my actions are. And that's why your arm tefillin, your actions are directed at your heart, because the actions that often influence the heart. And that's just from learning about tefillin. Tefillin, you just put on these boxes. We can often not even think about these things. It takes 2 minutes, right? So that is the ner mitzvah. It's a prati. It's specific. It's not general in nature. Whereas the learning, it could be super expansive. Even if you're learning something specific, it could be so broadly applicable beyond what we would have thought. And we just barely scratched the surface of tefillin. Okay, so what's the connection? Says the Maharal, working for the tzibur is also klali. The tzibur is klali. Torah is klali, as in Torah is general in nature. Working for the public is also general in nature. And that's why, says the Maharal, doing it l'shem shamayim, which is what the Mishnah says, right? V'chol ha'oskim im hatzibur, you oskim imam l'shem shamayim, you need to work for them l'shem shamayim for the right reasons, for the sake of heaven. Because, says the Maharal, if it's not l'shem shamayim, then it's not klali, it's not public, it's not general in nature. And what does that mean? If a person is going to go, say, do a public cause, but he's doing it for his own grandeur, right? For his own prestige, his own glory, that has nothing to do with klali work. I mean, what maybe the action which you're doing is public in nature, but the reason why you're doing it is totally specific. It's individual. It's selfish in nature. Even if you're doing it, says Maharal, in a way that affects people who are, say, public figures, right? It still doesn't help. It has to be for the right reason. It has to be l'shem shamayim. Once you get l'shem shamayim in, then it becomes klali in nature. And perhaps a mashal, just to try to ground this idea a little bit. Imagine, chas v'shalom, there's a country in the middle of a war, right? And their top-notch general, their key strategist, just had a heart attack. And there's the most important heart, or the the most qualified heart surgeon is being asked to come in and heal this person. Let's say they're friends, the heart surgeon and the general. Okay, so the heart surgeon could be like, wow, this is feeling pretty good here. Of course, I want to be the one to operate on him. It's amazing for my resume. What more do you want? I'm the guy who's going to operate on the general, who's going to save us in this war. Okay, so that's not cloudy. Even if the heart surgeon is like, the general is a public figure and he's my friend, and I want to help him. I want to make him feel better. I'm a doctor. That's very noble. It's not cloudy. If the doctor comes and says this, obviously the Maharal does not speak this out, just giving a mashal. If the doctor says this general can change the whole tide of the war for us, he is critical for this country. He's serving the public, and my ability to help save this general will then cause the public to be more capable of winning this war and avoiding a lot of dead civilians and dead soldiers too. Hopefully, that's cloudy work. And the point is, it's the orientation. If you're doing it l'shem shamayim, the reason, what's motivating this action is general in nature. That's when it kicks in, and that's the link between, of course, the beginning of the Mishnah and the end. First, we're talking about Torah, one thing, and then we're talking about the Tzibur, another thing. Says Maharal, no, it's not two different things. It's actually the same thing. We're talking about two things that are klali in nature, that are general in nature. That's the Maharal. And just to finish it off, so he says, and why does it say ve'atem, right? This Mishnah ends off very interestingly, right? Right, the merit of the forefathers propels us forward. Va'atem, you. Why is that necessary? And so says the Maharal, because we would have thought that we were actually thinking about the Avot, right? This is like Rashi in terms of the Avot, what caused this to happen. But so it says the Maharal, no, it's true that the actual cause is the Avot, but the credit goes to you. V'atem is emphasizing that. It doesn't want you to just skip it. V'atem, seemingly a redundant word, just leave that out. And says the Maharal, no, it cannot be left out. You have to know that, yes, it's true that you're not the one who causes the success, but you're the one who gets the credit for it. And we'll leave you there. We'll move on to the third Mishnah next time.